and opponents who say Dixie has a very favorable background in England with the term, that it has nothing to do with slavery or the South.
Well, the common parlance and the common usage is not that outside. You can try and make it seem one way. The N-word at one point was completely acceptable. You'd hear it in movies, you'd see people say it, a common comedian. It's not anymore. It's painful. And just even to capitalize the word Negro was a struggle, if you can believe that. So it's been an ongoing fight. People, it's just a question of being sensitive to other people's concerns.
That's America. And if anybody thinks this is a weak man talking in the spirit of this guy, this is a man who is not, he's not just a survivor. He's a prevailer and an overcomer who wrote a poem about the military unit in the Civil War that's in Boston next to the statue were the men who defended America. And I think if we are wise, and I think we are brain wise and sometimes heart smart, we realize that we listen to the vulnerability of not just Noah. He's an extremely eloquent speaker, but there are others who don't have the words that he does that feel exactly the same way. I'm a Southerner. I went to Southeast Missouri. I grew up in Missouri, and I was raised in places where Dixie was played. And I guess I learned when I was a young probation officer, and I had a young man named Ricky with me, and we couldn't get served down in the boot hill. And I was in shock because we were law enforcement officers. And he goes, "We got to get out of here, Mike. Let's go." And I go, "Ricky, what are you talking about?" He goes, "No, they're not going to give us a setup. Let's go." And I was in shock. I was in shock. But hatred exists in lots of forms, and it can take subtle, and anger and prejudice and intolerance can take lots of forms. It can be very subtle, and it can be, that's why we need understanding. We need folks to take a look inside and figure out what's going on here with me personally, and think about what is it that I need to prove, and why do I have to be right one way or the other, and just be gentle with each other. That's all.
I was going to ask that as far as a win-win in this. How do you see a win-win, and why you're both kind of sticking your necks out on this issue?
Believe me. They told me they were going to ruin my career, and I went, "What career? What are you talking about? Do me a favor. I'll sit home and watch Netflix." Well,
Noah?
Well, there are people that are taking a more courageous stand, and it's like Marnie Glickman is on the school board who's taking a courageous stand on behalf of folks here. But I think in the end it's worth it. My dad was born the year Plessy versus Ferguson in 1896, and he saw the change in 1954 when the Warren Court took a courageous stand, 9-0, to outlaw segregation in the United States. I was at Fisk University, a school in the South, when in 1964 the Civil Rights Act passed. In 1965, Johnson looked at a joint session of Congress saying, "We shall overcome." I asked Lyndon Bird Johnson, "What was your dad thinking?" She said, "You know that old hymn, once to every man and nation comes the moment to decide." We have this opportunity here to move forward. Changes are all around the country. They're taking down statues in South Carolina. They're taking down statues in San Francisco. They're changing names of streets where people that have, the Chinese must go, Phelan Avenue is now changed. Why do we in Marin think that we have an opportunity just to stay where we are, stuck in the mud? We have an opportunity to grow. We have an opportunity to teach our children that we can change. And we see the change that's giving us the opportunity. Not every opportunity comes to everybody in a lifetime to do something. This is a small change, but you can. My father changed. My parents changed. My classmates changed. My teachers are now teaching this because they understand what the history was that we ignored before. You know, I came along before there was Black history taught generally in the schools. John Hope Franklin had a book called Land of the Free in 1965. It showed the contributions of African American women, Asians, Latinos in the building of America. The John Birch Society for 2 years went after that book, and so they got it banned from the classroom. But we need more books like that. We need more opportunities that we take advantage of to change, so that we can show our children that this is possible.
And you talk about changes in the South, they're changing names, or Dixie, or statues, or whatever. Probably the most unlikely place that folks would go for
Yeah, exactly.
is a Dixie in Marin.
Yeah, right.
Doesn't make
And
sense.
but yet now, don't you think the country's kind of watching to see what happens in this little school district in
Right.
Marin County, and one of the most affluent areas in
Yeah.
I
the
wonder
country
how our
of what
first,
it does.
our black superintendent of schools statewide is going to think about this. I wonder if they're thinking about this. They say unless you have children in the district, you don't have a say in this. 78% of their funding comes from federal and state funds. Everybody has a say in this in Marin County and across the country. And as they become increasingly isolated, maybe they will open up their, well, maybe we're not right about this. Maybe it is offensive. Maybe it doesn't represent Marin values or the values we like to think we have.
I think that we have an emotional archaeologist and a spiritual wise man here. And he speaks to the human heart and to the soul. And it would be wise for everybody, regardless of color or culture or background, to listen to his wisdom. I always have, since I was a 28-year-old probation officer and I went on his radio show, right? He is the embodiment of what I love about Ivy League education. It brings leaders, and the readers are leaders, and the leaders are readers. This guy he is a living history book, so respect to.
And do you think it will finally be changed?
Yes, I do.
It's inevitable.
2019 is the
Yeah.
year.
I think that wisdom prevails always in America. America's bigger than fear, stronger than hate, and more kind and compassionate than all of the animosity that goes towards trying to keep things the way they were in status quo. Not too long ago, I was up in Idaho, and one of the kids said, "Somebody's got to tell these people not to be hater-taters and raise hater-tots." So
You quoted Longfellow, one of his contemporaries was Lowell, James Russell Lowell, and he said, "New occasions teach new duties. Time makes ancient good uncouth. They must ever up and onward who would keep abreast of truth." We have to modernize our society as the history that we understand it changes, and we realize what was painful to somebody then doesn't have to be painful to somebody now.
Thank you.
Thank you.